and all of these, so many other concepts that we've celebrated ignorantly, just like that, just like that. But our response to truth and facts is of anger, just like white people. You know what I'm saying? And like I say, you have to clean out your own closet. White people, before talking about black on black crime, gotta be real with the facts. With the facts that your first president, some of your first presidents were killed by white men. You know what I'm saying? Abraham Lincoln was killed by a white man. John F. Kennedy was killed by a white man. And contrary to popular belief and popular teaching, it was not because they were trying to help black people. You understand? Because they were trying to print their own money. That's why Lincoln and Kennedy were killed, because they were trying to print their own money. Same thing with the Civil War. Same thing with the Civil War. That was white versus white, the North versus the South. You know, and the contrary to the popular teaching and belief there, it was not to help black people. It was because the people in the North, the white people in the North, wanted part of the slave industry, the wealthy, thriving slave industry. And therefore, today, now you have all the prisons are built where? Guess where? In the North, motherfucker. Bitch, you guessed it. All the prisons are built where now? In the North. Now they got part of that industry. So, it's the erroneous thought conception which we've developed in not studying, understanding ancient African scripture, and ancient African prophecy. And when you look at the Holy Bible, most of us, it seems 90%, I'll say a heavy, straight up 90 to 95% of black people who are dealing with the Bible don't realize that they're dealing with the Europeans' interpretation of our story. It's the bottom line, in which he turned everything upside down from Adam and Eve to Christ being hung on the cross, man. You understand? Do you understand? In ancient Kemet, Christ was never killed or hung on the cross. Christ come to avenge the death of his father. You understand? But in the Bible, you have this shit being turned totally upside down to where the Most High gives up his son to be murdered and does nothing. And you wonder why all of these black murders can happen, where all these police, are killing unarmed black children and the parents are doing nothing but praying about it. Because what is the psychology of a people? What is the thought process of a people who accept and internalize a story of a God who gives up his son to be murdered and does absolutely nothing? When that's not even your original story. The original story is the father was murdered off, and the son had come to avenge his death. When the father is our father who was murdered in slavery, and all of our people who were murdered in slavery for 400 something plus years, for 400 plus years, plus, who were murdered, those were our fathers, and that's why we're here today, to avenge his death. And that's our original story. But since we are ignorant of our original story, then we're just out here following the Europeans' interpretation of our story. From Adam and Eve and Inky and Ninty, all that shit was turned upside down, man. You know what I'm saying? So, to be upset at truth, to be mad at truth, is to be just like the European. That's what I'm saying. African people, black people, people of African ancestry get upset when you tell them about anything black, or you speak about anything black. They don't want to hear it, or it's just so much blasphemy. It's just so much blasphemy. That's all I can say. It's just blasphemy. And for people who claim to love Christ, whoever you are, regardless of what ethnicity or color or shade, people that claim you love Christ. Christ died standing up against oppression and injustice and oppression. That's the bottom line. So if you have any problem with anyone speaking against injustice and oppression, if you're not speaking against injustice and oppression, you're blasphemous. You are antichrist. This is quite simple. Science is simple. Yeah, these are the main things. The main things that we have to start understanding. That we have to start understanding. Things like Black Wall Street. You got to understand Black Wall Street and what it meant to the black community, what it meant to the development of America as we see now. There would have been no Wall Street. That would have been our Wall Street, because we had all of the industries before these white people did, man. And that's another reason how you know that we built those pyramids, man. There's just no question about that. After 400, think about this. Just seriously. Just be realistic with yourself. After 400 years, you know, and like I said, it was much more than that, because, you know, we were slaves under Islam. We were sold into slavery by the Arabs to the Europeans, by the Islamic Arabs to the Europeans, the ones who are still brutalizing many of our brothers and sisters over there. You know, we were sold into slavery by them. You know, so this was way more than 400 years. 400 years with the European being beat over the head, brutalized, castrated, terrorized, ran through the woods, everything, every imaginable, terrible part of hell that you can think of. And yet, even after that, still being chased under gunfire, we made so many inventions. So many inventions, so many different uses of the peanut. All of these things with still being terrorized. And so many inventions, like I say, so many inventions, so many things that we made still under terror and being chased and castrated. So imagine what we were doing when we was at peace. There is no doubt. There is no doubt. And when we had our own tongue, we were beaten out of our tongues. It's the horrors. And still amongst those horrors, we created and invented more shit, more stuff than we ever do today, than we've done in the last 20 years. We invented more stuff, fresh out of slavery, still being chased, because we still in slavery. We just transitioned into a more transparent, more vicious and psychological form of slavery. But the psychological form of slavery is way more connected, and it's stronger. It's stronger simply because, as George Clinton said, free your mind and your ass will follow. Wherever your mind goes, your ass is at. Wherever your mind goes, you are. You understand? And that's why humanity is where it is now, because of erroneous thought conception and the failure in the inability to be honest with those errors. All around, from the individual to the collective, you know. The inability to be honest with our error is what's going to cause what we have here. But the thorough analyzation of our error and our mistakes, and the applied knowledge thereafter, that would take us to the next level. So, brothers and sisters, that's the message that I like to pass on. Erroneous thought conception. Peace and blessings. I pray you receive this message.